In this video, I will demonstrate how to create forms in MS Access. This will be a short demonstration, and I will leave it up to you to be creative with your forms design. Here, I already have created a database and have the information table set up already based on the instructions provided in the Laboratory Exercise 1.2 PDF file, which is found in BBL. Create your own database and set up the table as instructed. Notice here that I have also specified the correct field types and lengths for each field. Ensure that you do the same. Let me just save this table to ensure that all my modifications are saved. In the first part of the exercise, we will create a new form using the Form Wizard. Click on Create on the menu bar and select the Form Wizard icon. You should be able to see a list of all the fields in your table. Click the double right arrow icon to move all the available fields into the Selected Fields section. Click Next, and you'll be able to choose a layout. You have a choice between columnar, tabular, datasheet, and justified. You'll also get a glimpse on how the layout would look like from the preview on the left. Let's choose columnar for our first form. Click on Next, then click on Finish. I received an error here because my information table is still open. So, I'll just click on OK to go to the design view and then close my information table sheet. On the upper left corner from the Home tab, you'll see the three views available for forms: Form View, Layout View, and Design View. We are currently in the Design View. On the right side, I have my property sheet open already. If you don't have this open, you can click on the Form Design menu item and select the property sheet icon from the toolbar. To make it a bit easier to use the property sheet, you can drag and drop the property sheet to undock it from the window. This allows you to move it around and have it closer to the design elements we are modifying. We can even expand this window to allow a better view of the various properties and their values. You can also adjust the viewing size of the form by dragging the edges of the form in the various sections. Let's update the header label here. First, let's change the name of the label so that it's not confusing. I'll do this only for this element, and you can do the same for the other elements. Currently, this label is named Label 14, which is not descriptive. It is advisable to put a proper name to each element so that when editing elements, you know which element is being updated. I'll call this header information. You'll notice that in the Property Sheets drop-down menu, we can see almost all the items here have proper names. This makes it easier to select the appropriate element during forms design, especially when the form has too many elements inside. Let's move this text to a more appropriate location. You can do so by dragging the element using the yellow border. Let's add a logo image to our header. Under the Form Design menu, select Logo. This will prompt you for a file containing the image. You can choose any image you would like to put here. For this demo, I'll just choose a water lily image, as indicated in our lab instructions. The logo will be placed, by default, at the upper left corner. To resize it, simply drag the corner or the edges of the yellow enclosing box of the logo. You'll also notice that a blank yellow rectangle is attached to the logo image. We can simply delete this by selecting only the blank rectangle and pressing the Delete key. Let's reposition the image and title header. Next, let's add the current date and time to the header. Under Form Design, click on Date and Time. You have various choices on the date and time format. Choose which format you'd like to use, then click on OK. This will place the date and time on the upper left corner of the header. Drag and drop each of these to the location you want them in and resize it accordingly. If we go up to our view icon, we can choose Form View and have a look at how our form looks like at the moment. Click on View again to return to the design view. Let's change the font used for our field labels. You can select each field label and change the font accordingly, or you can hold down the Control or Shift key while selecting each of the field labels. Once you've selected all the fields, go to your property sheet and change to a font of your choosing under font name. I like the JetBrains Mono font, so I'll choose that for my form. Notice that all the fonts for the field labels have changed. I'm going to resize our form's detail area because we'll be adding command buttons next. In the Form Design menu, choose this rectangular-looking icon, which represents a button. Once you click it, click on the area where you want the button to be placed. You'll be presented with a dialog box which allows you to choose what action you want the button to execute when pressed. Under Record Navigation, choose Go to First Record. Click on Next, and then choose how you want the button to look like. You can choose from text or a built-in image. You can also choose to add a custom image if you'd like using the Browse button. I'll choose a picture here. Make sure you provide a proper name for this button so that you can easily locate it under the property sheet. You can still move the button the where you want it placed. Perform the same steps and place navigation buttons for Previous Record, Next Record, and Last Record. I'll fast forward this demo. Once you've created all the buttons, you can either manually arrange them, or you can select all of them, and under the Arrange menu, you can choose Align and align all the buttons to top. Then you can also specify that you want equal spacing between the buttons. Now the buttons are nicely arranged. Create two more buttons, one for Delete Record and another for New Record. For New Record, I'll just choose text for clarity. Take your time to rearrange these buttons and optionally resize it. Now, let's see how our form looks like. In the instructions, we are asked to add a background image to our form. Let's do that. While in the design view, make sure nothing is selected and choose the form element in the property sheet. Under the property Picture, select the three dots, and this will prompt you for an image to choose. I'll choose the Blue Hills image here, but feel free to choose what image you'd like to use. Now, it seems that the image has filled our form completely, which is what we intend, but notice under the property Picture Size mode, it defaults to clip. To see this effect, let's view how our form looks like. Notice that the image is just in the center, but we want the image to fill our form. Let's go back to the design view. This time we'll choose Stretch in the Picture Size mode property. Let's go back to view our form. Now we see that the background image now fills our form. This ends the demo for the Forms Wizard section. Next, let's create a data entry form. With the table named Information Table selected, go to Create and select Form. This will automatically create a simple form with the fields placed and arranged already. Let's update the logo for the data entry form using the same method we used in the previous exercise. Notice how the image is too big for the enclosing box? Let's change this using the property sheet and change the size mode to Stretch. Let's change the size of our header and increase the size of our header text. Let's update the text as well to Data Entry Page. To make sure we don't lose our work, let's save this form by right-clicking on the tab, click Save, and save it as Data Entry Form. Now, remember that our gender field only has the length for one character. So let's update the gender field. Right-click on the gender field, choose Change To, and select Combo Box. In the Gender Property sheet, under the Data tab, change the row source type to Value List. Then, under the row source, put in M:(F). These will be options available for gender. Let's test this by clicking on View to go to the Form view and click on the Gender field to see the options we've entered. Let's go back to Layout view. We'll be adding buttons next, the same way we did in the previous exercise. But before we do that, let's add a new row to our form. This is where we will place the buttons. Notice how this row will follow the column sizes above. So, let's split the column on the right to 4 sections so that we can place the buttons accordingly. You can now drag and drop buttons to each of these areas. Create the same buttons we did in the previous exercise. I'll fast forward this as you should be familiar with this process already. Feel free to resize the buttons to your preference, and you can even add another row on top so that there is some space between the table and the buttons. You can now use this form to enter in some data. This will allow you to test if your form buttons are working. Let's save and close our form. Go to Create and select Form Design. This will create a blank form for us to fully customize our form. Once created, right-click on the form and select Form Properties. In the Property sheet, choose the Data tab and under Record Source, choose our Information Table. This will link this form to our table that contains our data. Let's add a field by selecting Text Box from the toolbar. Click on the area of the form you want to place the field with its label and text box. Under the Property sheet, choose Control Source and assign one of the fields to this text box. In this example, I'll choose the last name field. Let's adjust the position and size of our last name field in the form. Let's also properly label this element. You can adjust and resize these elements using the enclosing yellow box. Add another text box and assign it to the first name field following the same steps. Resize and reposition as required. You can also use the alignment feature we used earlier. Go to Form View and have a quick look at the form you've created so far. This method allows you to have complete control on the layout and contents of your form. Your task now is to continue and complete this custom form. Make it as intuitive and beautiful as you can make it. I'll grade it based on the form design. Make sure you also have data in your table. 5 data entries are fine. This ends the demo for the forms.